Open your brokerage app right now. Scroll down to your biggest position. Maybe it's Apple or Tesla or an S&P 500 ETF. Look at the quantity. 10 shares? 100? You see that number and your brain tells you something very simple. I own this. You believe that somewhere in a digital vault or a dusty filing cabinet, there is a legal certificate with your name on it, proving that you possess a fraction of that company. But you don't. You don't own the stock. You don't hold the title. Your name is not on the company's register. What you actually own is a security entitlement, a digital IOU, a promise from a middleman that if you ever asked for your money, they'd try their best to get it for you. The entire modern stock market acts like a library where no one is allowed to check out the books. You can only read them inside the building. And the landlord? It's a company you've likely never heard of. A company that technically owns $34 trillion worth of America. To understand how we lost ownership, we have to go back to a Wednesday in 1968. Wall Street was melting down, not because of a crash, but because of success. Back then, if you bought a stock, a runner had to physically carry a paper certificate from the seller's office to the buyer's office. Trading volume hit 15 million shares a day. The system broke. Brokers couldn't process the paper fast enough. There were literally sacks of unverified securities sitting in hallways, elevators, and lunchrooms. It was a paperwork apocalypse. The exchange actually had to close every Wednesday just to let the back office clerks catch up on the filing. They realized something terrifying. If the market kept growing, the physical movement of ownership was impossible. So they made a deal. They decided to immobilize the certificates. They took all the paper, locked it in a vault, and agreed to never move it again. Instead, they would just track the changes in a ledger. It solved the crisis, but in the process, they severed the link between you and your property. Here is how the machine actually works today. When you press buy on your phone, the trade happens in milliseconds, but the ownership doesn't move. At the very top of the pyramid sits a private entity called the DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. Deep inside their hierarchy is a nominee partnership with a strange, boring name, Seed & Co. Seed & Co. is the registered owner of roughly 99% of all publicly traded stock in the United States. Legally, they own the shares. Your name isn't on the books of Apple. Seed & Co.'s name is. Under them, you have the DTC. Under them, you have your broker, let's say Fidelity or Robinhood. And finally, at the bottom of the food chain, there is you. You are what is legally known as a beneficial owner. This sounds nice, it sounds privileged, but in legal terms, it means you have the benefits of the property, dividends, voting rights, price appreciation, without holding the title to the property. Think of it like a casino. You walk in with cash. You exchange it for chips. While you are on the casino floor, those chips feel like money. You can bet them, win more of them, stack them up. But if the casino suddenly burns down or locks its doors, you realize those chips are just plastic. They're a claim on the house's money. They aren't the money itself. Now, why does this distinction matter? Why should you care if Seed & Co. holds the paper as long as you get your profit? Because of a concept called street name registration. Your stocks are held in your broker's name, not yours. This allows for something called rehypothecation. It's a complicated word for a simple, slightly ironic trick. Because the broker legally holds the shares, they can lend them out to other institutions. Often, they lend your shares to short sellers, people who are betting that the price of your stock will go down. Let that sink in. You buy a stock because you believe in the company. The system takes that stock, which you own, and lends it to a hedge fund that uses it to drive the price down against you. And you don't get a cut of the lending fee, the broker does. You are funding the opposition with your own assets, and you gave them permission to do it in the terms of service you didn't read. But the real fear isn't short selling, it's insolvency. We like to think brokerage accounts are like bank accounts. They aren't. If a bank fails, the government steps in. If a broker fails, things get messy. Since you don't own the specific shares, remember they're pooled together in street name, you become a general creditor. Sure, there's insurance like SIPC in the US, which covers up to $500,000. But what if your portfolio is worth $2 million? What if the failure is systemic? What if the broker didn't actually buy the shares, but just credited your account, hoping to buy them later at a lower price, a practice known as a failure to deliver? In a catastrophic collapse, you don't have a property dispute, you have a contract dispute. You're standing in line with everyone else holding your digital IOU, hoping there are enough assets in the vault to pay everyone out. History shows us that when the financial plumbing breaks, the people holding the beneficial rights are usually the last to get paid. We traded ownership for convenience. We wanted instant trades, zero commissions, and apps that confetti when we make a deposit. The cost of that convenience was the legal title to our assets. There is a way out, of course. It's called direct registration. You can pull your shares out of the broker and put your actual name on the company's books. It's slow, it's clunky, it feels like 1968, but it is the only way to truly own what you bought. Most of you won't do that. The liquidity is too addictive, the friction is too high, and that's fine. The system works 99.9% of the time. But the next time you look at that portfolio balance on your screen, just remember the truth. That isn't your money. It's a display of what you're owed. And in the world of finance, possession isn't 9/10 of the law. Possession is everything.